just be a joke. Evolution is just a scam. God never really had a plan. Nothing was ever really true. What the hell? You got schooled. Big genius like school, where we learn the golden rule. Do unto others before they do unto you.
The interesting thing about Erin is that she worked on a show called The Apprentice. And if you haven't heard of the show, it was very popular. It aired for a lot of years. And it starred a guy that is quite well known. Quite possibly the most famous person alive. Quite possibly the most famous person that ever existed. But you know who I'm talking about. And let's go find out what really happened on The Apprentice.
It's hard to look back, right? Because we had no idea this was going to happen, or I think we would have all felt a lot differently or said something. You know, you work on television shows. There's a lot of celebrities who are eccentric, a little crazy. You're sort of like, wow, if the public really knew this, like, I wonder if this show would be a success. You never thought, what would happen to the country if this person ran it, you know? So I think it's hard to look back and say, I felt some kind of way about it. But then when you put it in the context of an election, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is not the person that should be anywhere near the highest office.
And why not? What makes you say that? What?
Well, I sort of think that we have to thank not the producers of the show, because he cannot be produced, not his advisors, because he cannot be advised. You'd have to thank the editors for making that into a show and making it a success. Because, as we all know today, he does not speak in sound bites. He does not speak in coherent little phrases. It's mumbo jumbo that some now intern that runs his social media makes into a soundbite, and that's a success. So he is successful in sound bites. But I think I've seen and know that the editors on The Apprentice had to make something out of sometimes a very long roundabout boardroom. And again, we're only filming 1 day a week, right? So the task has already happened. Because it's a competition show, like, producers can't tip the outcome of the winner. You just sort of relay what happened because Trump isn't there or his guest judges aren't there. So you relay what happened, but there's always a clear winner of that task and a clear, at least, bottom two. And so you kind of go into it going, okay, here's what happened. Okay, we know he's going to fire so-and-so. Like, that's what's going to happen. And he would just do whatever he felt. And you were like, what? So that, because we filmed live to tape, which meant we didn't stop. You don't really stop, start, or guide the conversation. You just let it happen. That means the editors had to go back and fix everything that we did that week to match what he said. So you're reverse engineering an entire show because someone who's hosting it can't focus and follow direction. So I just think that the editors are, and I don't blame the editors of The Apprentice because they had a hard job and they obviously were just trying to make good television. But like now his social media coordinators and these people who go through all that footage and make a buzzword or a phrase or they have the credit for all of this.
But live to tape is a very weird thing. And if you haven't done a lot of TV, live to tape is they tape it and then you sit there for 3 minutes or 5 minutes while they do commercials.
Yes.
And you're just sitting there. Maybe you're talking to everybody and like, okay, we're back in 3, 2, 1, and then you're back. And it's just like, we just sat there for 5 minutes and just looked around like lost.
Yes. Well, those were the moments where there'd be an outburst because, again, I just remember one specific episode where it's hot because the boardroom is very small. There's obviously a lot of lights. There's cameras in there. There's producers in there. And then there's contestants. And, if the whole show is on, there's a lot of people in that room. It got very hot. And I remember he was like, we need water. And you got to weave your way through the cameras and the cables and get outside to get the water. And it was like a fit
Okay.
between the commercial break and coming back. And we're like, oh my God, what happened?
Well, the question is, how did he drink his water? One hand or two?
I said, he's a genius. And you said, no, he's not, Ron. And I said, no, he's a genius. And and then you said, I don't think he can even read. You remember that?
It's like, well, I know he could read basic things. I don't think he has the attention span to follow what he's reading. Yeah, I also remember like, and I think I've told you guys about this as well, like if you go back and watch old episodes on YouTube, you can see him looking down. Like he looks down and he looks like he's thinking and making a really tough decision, but he's actually reading a message board with the executive producer who's guiding like the time. You know, again, she can't guide the conversation, but she can say, okay, we're getting to the point where we need to fire, and he just wouldn't listen. And I remember looking over and she's like frantically, and he just did what he wanted. So then you'd wait till commercial break, they'd pull him out, they try to refocus him, put him back in, and then he'd fire whoever he wanted. So it was like just every Thursday, I can only imagine what conversations went on with the higher ups that had to be like, okay, let's get through this. Even though he couldn't be produced in that way, just like he can't be advised, he isn't dumb. I don't know if I'd go as far as genius, but he's not dumb. He knows the takeaways, like for the media, like the repetition, repeat. If you go back and watch, you know, like a Lucky Strike commercial from the 50s, before we had the internet and things to just flash this in, how many times did they say the word lucky in their ad? Because they want to drill it in your brain, you know? So it's the same thing. You just repeat basic things. You remember it. You know, if anybody says fake news, they say it like he does. Fake news.
Do you think that he had dementia now? Has he gotten worse? Has he deteriorated? Or has he always been like this?
I mean, I don't know if he has dementia, but he certainly has. I think his ego is probably more inflated than it was then. So there's no like guardrails at all to what he says, you know, not that there were before, but when you're still trying to figure out what that success is, right? Like when The Apprentice wasn't number one right away, he, you know, I think you're a little bit more like, okay, let me listen to my marketing team or whatever he was doing. So I don't know that he's better or worse. I think he's more free. I only remember one particular time we did, this obviously didn't make it on air, but again, live to tape, we watched the whole thing. He had one of the contestants in the 2000, like right after 2008 happened, they brought back the sort of civilian Apprentice. And one of the contestants was, you know, blonde, good looking, bubbly. And I remember in the middle of a boardroom, he had her like stand up and twirl for him. And we all kind of went, that's fucking weird. But like, again, it's just a different context, right? You were just thinking, well, if this got out, that would be really bad, or the show could get canceled. But again, you don't think of, I think, especially now when all these like scandals are coming out and you realize there's so many abusers out there. I just don't think in that time we recognized it.
When you're live to tape, they're still taping when nothing's happening.
That's right.
So those tapes exist.
They do exist.
You know, and you're also might. I mean, somebody could do a show of celebrities going to the bathroom because you go to the bathroom when you might, you know.
Look at Bob Durst. He got found guilty of murder because he, on a hot mic, admitted to killing his like wives.
Yeah. That's
you know,
why I don't talk to myself out loud. I don't think that.
You don't have full chats in the bathroom about what you.
Well, but you never, like at that point, he didn't have the cult yet, right?
No, not at all.
What do you think about that? That's really interesting because everybody I know there's a Trumpy. It's like if you say this happened, or you know he did this, you know, or if Biden did this, no, that's horrible. That's horrible. I'm sorry, wait, no, Trump did it. That's good. But I don't think they even know they're doing it.
Knew what we were doing, I'd give you some. We're going to see the Apprentice movie with a woman who worked on The Apprentice, Erin. And now we're going to see the movie, then we're going to see what was true and what wasn't afterwards, and interview people and see what they think about the movie and about the Orange Man himself.
It's going to be a weird night. We'll see how it goes. Probably be depressed at the end, but curious. Curious is the word of the evening.
I know the billionaires are never quite as sad as the devil.
It's called a wild goose chase. Do you have more proof of hangings up in the mall?
Hey, we're trying to find a movie. Can you help us?
I'm saying, do you have permission from the mall to hang these up inside the mall?
I'm asking you a question. We're trying to find this movie about Trump.
Ask somebody that works at
Is
Regal.
it not here?
I don't work for Regal.
Oh, you
have to
don't?
ask somebody
Oh,
that
okay.
works for Regal. I'm sure they can help you with that.
Oh, okay.
I just need to know about the signs.
Oh, did you want one?
No.
What happened is that the movie ended. They stopped playing it. We were a day short. I've been short all my life, but this one bothers me.
I want to go to Big Jimmy's high school.